Okay. Hey, my name is Zentega. Most people just call me Zan. Warrior named Gregoronsen made some talent trees for Warrior based on like basically what he wants to change, what he thinks would be better. So I'm gonna review them. I asked for his permission. He said it's okay. No one asked me to make this, but I'm bored as shit. Um, I'm just kind of waiting for more news about like the War Within come out, and the alpha and the beta. So here we are. Um, just a little background. I'm a C warrior player, primarily focused on Fury, but I will play arms if it's better. I just don't love it. Um, I'm currently in a Hall of Fame guild, and my name is a special color in the Warrior Discord, so my opinion matters. um, I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do the class tree first. I'm going to go through all the changes that were made there, and then I'm going to go through the Fury tree. It's probably going to be a bit erratic and all over the place. My brain is a bit disorganized in general, so try to bear with me if you want any like clarification or if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer any comments. So, yeah, just yeah, cool. Let's start. First thing I'm going to look at is the defensive stance. Um, he's basically proposing that this is just made baseline for theory. There's no reason not to. Sick. It's baseline for prot and it's baseline for arms, and I'm pretty sure, not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that prot doesn't have to pay for battle stance either. They do not. So weird. Uh, yeah, no, they don't. Okay, yeah. We're the only one that has to pay an extra point at the start. I think that's stupid. Okay, clearly biased. They hate Fury Warriors. Make baseline. Nice. Um, there's like a couple changes here that weren't listed here, so I'm just gonna like left to right, node by node, uh, and that's how that's gonna work. Piercing Howls made its own own point right here in the place of uh, old Berserker Rage. Nice. Uh, Impending Victory stays the same. The fuck is this called? Rallying Cry got moved over to the center instead of War Machine. War Machine got moved down. Um, Second Wind got moved up. Berserker Rage is on the right side of the tree now. Piercing Howl has its own follow-on node now. So this is just regular Piercing Howl. The follow-on node makes it no longer have a cooldown and instead costs 15 rage. Um, this is good. I like this. This is very nice. It's like a lot easier to pick now. Um, in my opinion, because like the issue right now, right, is that you're always going here. You are literally always going here. You are, but like instead, right, rallying cry is now in the middle. You always went the middle, and you always had to go to the side to get rally because rally's just. I mean, you're a warrior. That's what you do, right? Rally being in the center and the niche abilities being on the side is so nice, right? Because there's not very many times when you're going to take Berserker Rage. It's not useful all of the time. When it is useful, it's pretty sick, but it's not useful all the time. Basically, this just lets you shift points around. It lets you like have a reliable slow all the time. The issue I see is that Piercing Howl at a baseline is a 70% snare for 8 seconds. That's really fucking good. That's like one of the best AoE slows in the game. Probably the best AoE slow in the game. The issue I see is not having a cooldown, even with a rage cost. That is an insane slow. It is so much. You would just take this all the time in every M plus, and you would be a fucking maniac. I think either this follow-on node has to have an increased cost rage, like 25 or something, or the snare needs to be reduced, or something. The duration, like make you cast it more. 70% on no cooldown is ridiculous. That is so fucking insane. It's so good. So yeah, probably needs to be nerfed a little bit. Like I said, War Machine got moved. Fast footwork, notably, gone, deleted. Spell Reflect the same. Intervene moved down. And yeah, second wind got moved up. Leashing Strike's gone. Both of these were filler points. They were nice filler points, but they were filler points. So I'm okay with them being removed, even if they were just filler points. Frothing Berserker, gone from the class tree specifically. We'll get onto that later. It's over here in the spec tree. I don't like this talent anyways, so I'm pretty okay with that. I don't like random proc getting 40, 20 to 40 rage. I think that's stupid. It messes with the flow of the rotation a little bit. Don't like it. Largely, it gets wasted. If you're playing AM with Ravager, if you get a proc when Ravager's ticking, the rage is gonna go bye-bye, right? Because your Ravagers is going same time. Ravager generates 10 rage without wreck, 20 rage during. If you get an auto attack, yeah, the rage is gone. I don't like this talent. I think it should be different. I think it should be something more akin to Legion's version or the BFA version. I think it was this version in like Shadowlands 2 or something similar. So yeah, not this one. The other one's better. Cool. Heroic Leap, still Heroic Leap. Intimidating Shout got moved over, one, and has been replaced by Rend. This used to be a thing in one of the very early iterations of the Warrior Tree in the Dragonflight Alpha or Beta. Can't remember which. I personally really liked this. There were some other people in the Warrior community who did not, mostly all of them, but I thought this was very cool because I think Fury's main issue right now is that it has no depth. You just press Rampage, and then you press Generators, and then you press Rampage again. And I think that is very boring. So I'd like another spender. Either that or, like, I don't know. Yeah, just give me another spender. That's fine. I like this. Intimidating Shout, where Thunderclap used to be, and Furious Blows, still the same. Wrecking Throw, Shattering Throw, same spot. The only gripe I have about this is that Shattering Throw is the only way to break, what's it called? Incorporeal. I think that's stupid. Just make it Wrecking Throw. I don't give a fuck. Kill PvPers. Crushing Force, nuked from orbit. Thank God. Replaced by Bloodborne. That's good. Pain and Gain, still the same. Sick. It's good talent. Very good. Passive Healing. Augers. Cacophonous Roar got... This node basically got moved, so we're just going to skip it for now. Stormbolt, still Stormbolt. Overwhelming Rage, still Overwhelming Rage. And the Sidearm and Concussive Blows is still the same as well. I think Concussive Blows could use a buff. I'm not sure how you do it, but you don't use it ever because Sidearm is just better. It's just like passive 3% damage, right? So yeah, make it a little bit better. I think I forgot to mention this, but Frothing Berserker got replaced with Reinforced Plates, which is just 20% armor. Nice. Reinforced Armor has been replaced by Blood Surge. Blood Surge, if you do not know, is the arms and prot talent that makes your bleeds have a chance to grant you 5 rage. It's 10% chance, apparently. Didn't know that. I, personally, always really like the idea of having Blood Surge as Fury and pressing Thunderclap to apply Rend in AoE, and then funneling Rampages into a target. I thought that was a absolutely fire class fantasy, and it never happened, and I will never forgive Blizzard for it. I hope they do it eventually, but I kind of doubt it because they don't like Fury having more than one spender. We'll get more into that when we get into the spec tree, but yeah, this is sick. I actually love this talent. I think it's really cool. It just gives some really, really neat like funnel possibilities. So yeah, sick. Bounding Stride, still Bounding Stride. And then there's another talent here. This is Thunderclap, but it's basically consolidating Thunderclap and Blood and Thunder. I think that might be a little bit too strong. That said, with the like Mountain Thane thing coming, and who knows what Slayer and Colossus have in store. Primarily Slayer because this is a theory video, but um, if if Mountain Thane is going to be Thunderclap centric, they either need to make it more accessible or they need to make it baseline. And I would lean towards making it baseline. If they do make it baseline, this can just be Blood and Thunder. Um, but I think you're like paying 2 points for the price of one is kind of broken. So I would say just make it like making it baseline and just having this be Blood and Thunder is it's fine, right? That's good. 11. This is insane. So this is a choice node between it basically takes the cacophonous roar and menace node, like choice node, and consolidates it into one, and then the other talent choice. And this is kind of where it gets a bit bonkers because this isn't really a choice, right? You get Shockwave, right? It's a Shockwave choice node, but you get Rumbling Earth with it. It's just bundled together. I've thought about this. Just seems so broken. You're basically getting a 16-yard frontal cone stun that is uncapped and on a 25-second cooldown. That generates 10 rage. That's a little bit too strong, I think. It is only a 2-second stun, but 16 yards is a lot of yards. And a 25-second cooldown is not very long. That's the same cooldown as Spell Reflect. Like, yeah. That's a bit broken. Obviously, I like it because it's fucking good. It's really, really good. It's really, really, really good. But yeah, probably a little bit too strong. Barbaric Training got nuked and got replaced by Carnage, which increases all rage generated by 5%. Sick. That's nice. That's cool. I'm cool with that. I don't know about the 5% number. I don't know what implications that has. I haven't done the math. Maybe something like 10% is a little bit better, just because it's nice and round. But in general, yeah, good replacement. This talent node is fucking worthless. So, yeah, cool with that. Sudden death in place of honed reflexes. I'm okay with that. I think sudden death should be in the class tree. That's cool. That's fun. Like all specs have access to it. So like what's it doing not in the class tree, I guess? Like why is it in the spec trees if they all have access to it? It's just a bit silly. This is Manaroth's Bloodthirsty Manacles or Bloodletting Manacles or some shit like that. It's number 9 here. Thirst for battle, spending 20 rage heals you for 1% of your maximum health. Awesome. Passive healing, very good. 4% HP every time you press Rampage, very good. I would still like Bitter Immunity to be in the tree though. This gives us like some really nice utility. It's like burst healing is basically another like basically another Healthstone, right? Just on a 3-minute cooldown. Which is very nice for fights like Rashok or Smolderon, where like you get healing absorbs put on you. You need to like get them off. This is always really nice. And it gives us like some nice utility if there's ever like dungeons or raid bosses that apply diseases, poisons, curses. So yeah, I'd like to see this stay. I think it's a cool bit of utility. I think it's like one of the few things that they actually innovated on in Warrior. Because largely Warriors, certainly Fury, and probably Arms too, is basically just it's just Shadowlands Warrior, but with some extra bells and whistles, and I think that's very boring. So I like Bitter Immunity. I think it's good. I want it to stay. This is still double time. Titanic Throw got changed in this talent tree to be Gag Order. Heroic Throw will now interrupt the target. Has a 30-second cooldown and puts Pummel on cooldown. So I think this is really cool. I think this is like this is a really, really cool option. Like you're basically getting a 30-yard interrupt at the cost of a like double duration and like cooldown on the interrupt. So it's like, I don't know, if there's a caster or some shit casting like a shadow bolt volley, like, in Africa randomly, the warrior can actually do something, and it's nice to not have to charge out and pummel it. So yeah, I like this node quite a bit. Seismic reverb, got changed. Unnerfed seismic reverb. All three targets at 3 targets hit, whirlwind ticks a fourth time. This talent sucks. This is probably the worst talent in any tree in the game. It is just it like certainly for throughput talents, it's the worst. Maybe there's some like weird niche utility that also sucks equally as bad, but this talent's like it's like at most 0.1% increase. It's horrid. There's like I don't understand why they did this, right? So when you whirlwind, it hits them one additional time, right? I don't know if you know how much whirlwind ticks do. It's not very much damage. Um, it's like a really, really small amount. I don't know why they would make it 30% damage. It should just be an extra tick. It's really stupid that it's not. This talent is worthless right now. Anyone who takes it is weird. I hate them. Next is just armor to the teeth. That's normal. Wild strikes and cruel strikes got swapped, but that's inconsequential. Roar stays the same. Dual wield specialization stays the same. It's just like a roll agnostic 5% damage amp. I hate it personally. I think it's stupid. We're basically just getting a 5% aura buff in our talent tree, which is ridiculous. They should just give us more strength rather than putting a stupid aura buff. But notably, all of these are 1 point, which gives us more talents to spend in this bottom area, which could be ridiculously strong. This is probably the biggest thing in the entire tree. Anger management has been moved to the class tree. That has a lot of implications, but I really like this because all 3 specs already have access to anger management. It does different things for each of the specs, like it has different rage values, I believe. But I don't see why, if you're going to put a talent in all 3 spec trees, that it should not just be in the class tree. I think it's a bit silly. The only reason you would do so is to like avoid just like crazy power levels being reached, which I understand. But you can also just tune anger management. They've shown before that each class tree can have different nodes. Like they have the technology to do that. Something I actually didn't notice. This is battle stance. I actually do think Berserker stance sucks. Like 3% crit is just way better than 15% auto attack damage. Because like the crit actually scales in AoE, and it's like it's not spell crit like Wreck. It's like actual crit chance. So yeah, fuck Berserker stance. Maybe if you make this like auto attack speed as well as auto attack damage, it's a bit better. But yeah, just auto attack damage is poopy. Diapers, don't like it. Battle stance would be much nicer. I would love that. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, anger management, just tune it down. That's like insanely strong, right? Because like right now, the choice that's being made is you're taking like a better wreck versus more often wreck, right? Like that's the choice in this node. And I don't know a single warrior player that wouldn't just say, "Oh yeah, I'd like both instead." So, yeah, that might be a little bit strong, but at the same time, it makes things cooler. So, yes, very, very much yes. I like that a lot. And then, this is probably, like, this is the biggest change. This is my second favorite, though. Fuck Spear. I don't like this ability. It sucks. I don't know a single warrior that likes this ability. Elysian Might is stupid. If you were going to do Spear, right? Because this is just like, oh yeah, here's your crit damage amp, right? Like Warrior is a big cooldown stacker. This is just like, all right, you do more damage in cooldowns. If you were gonna do this, just fucking give us Blood of the Enemy, man. Like I don't understand. This talent has been useless, by the way. This has never been picked. It's horrid. This I don't like being restricted to my little blue circle for 6 seconds. I hate it. Yeah, nuke it from the game. Give us banner. I'm cool with banner. I didn't even play Shadowlands, and I'm cool with banner. Um, increases strength and haste by 10% for 20 seconds. 1 minute 30 cooldown. Great, aligns with all of our other cooldowns. And then I think this is the legendary, and then the other node is the conduit. Although I don't actually know. That's just like what it looks like to me. Call to Arms. Brandishing the Conqueror's banner also increases your critical strike chance by 10% and grants 2% primary stat to the 4 closest allies for 10 seconds. Cool. Glory. Spending 20 rage increases the duration of Conqueror's banner by 1 second. Cool. Press Rampage more, get longer banner. Very good. As long as this doesn't end up being a case where you were using it for someone else's cooldowns instead of your own, this is like perfect. It's excellent. And it's much more interesting than Spear is. Spear is boring as shit. And lastly, Shockwave being moved up, of course, had to be replaced by something else. And I have been dying for this ability to come back since it got removed at the end of Legion. Bloodbath. For 10 seconds, your attacks now bleed the enemy for an additional 30% of the damage dealt. 30-second cooldown. Sick. This is notably, like, very, very, very good for fights with damage amps. It's really, really good for, like, priority targets. Like, this, it's a 30-second cooldown, man. It's not very long. You know, this is going to be good on anything that, like, anything on a 1 minute timer, on a 2 minute timer, on a 30-second timer, on a 130, you know, like, all of this shit. This fucking ability is going to be insane, right? Like, there's an ad spawn. You know, sick. You're a Fury Warrior. I have cooldowns for this, alright? I'll fucking blow it up. Awesome. Bloodbath is super, super nice. It double dips on damage amps, I'm pretty sure. Like, let's take Smolderon, for example. You pop your Bloodbath. With your orbs, you're doing, you know, 50% increased damage, which gets funneled into the Bloodbath, and the Bloodbath takes on over 50% more. They'd probably have to rein that in if that was the case, but there's potential, right? And then 13. Bloodbath's damage is reduced to 15%, but is permanently active. I like this little, like, dichotomy, where it's like, okay, you can have it active permanently for, like, in theory, higher, like, flatline damage, or you can take the higher burst damage, but obviously it's not permanent. This gives you, like, interesting choices for if there's, like, a patchwork fight, or if there's a damage amp fight, or if there's a fight with ads that need to die instantly. So yeah, I really like it. The only thing that I would maybe change is, like, just put these two on a choice node, and put something else below it that, like, maybe just, like, increases duration or increases the damage dealt if it's the permanently active or something like that. Yeah. Avatar stayed unchanged. I'm pretty sure this is just the Torments, but this is using the Prot tree, I believe. So it's using, obviously, not Berserkers and Titan's Torment. It's using the Prot equivalents, which I don't know the names of. Immovable Object and Unstoppable Force. Okay, that's the class tree. All in all, I like it. The main complaint people have right now about the class tree is that there's too much throughput. And largely, I agree. But more than that, the issue is that the throughput is just boring, right? Like, a lot of it's just, like, percent damage amps to certain abilities, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, obviously the capstone area has, like, more throughput than every other class in the game, right? Like, this is insane. This is basically just a second spec tree right here. But if that's the direction they want to go with Warrior, I'm cool with that. Just make everything more interesting. Like, and make utility choices an actual choice, right? Like, because right now, if you build out the tree, you're basically not taking utility. At least currently. You take all this shit, you go down here, you get Titan's Torment, you take this, 2 points in there, 2 points there, there. right? This is your tree. At least for single target content, there is very little flexibility. You can take off Bounding Stride, and you could take Berserker Rage. You could take off Second Wind, and you could take Intervene or something like that, right? But no one's gonna do that. So you're stuck in this spot, right? And it gets even worse when you start getting in the M plus tree. Then it gets really bad. So you still take all this stuff, but then you have to take a stun, and then oh no, you have to take Shockwave, and then you have to take Titan's Torment. You take Roar because Spear sucks. You always have to take this because it's 5% damage. So here you are. You can remove Bounding Stride, right? You could like take Intimidating Shout. You can remove 2 points in Crushing Force, take Pain and Gain. And then it's like, where else do you go? Right? Like, you're not going to take, like, you can't get Piercing Howl at all. This is an impossible point to take. You could remove Fast Footwork, but, like, why? Yeah, I don't know. There's some issues. If it's Incorporeal Week, if there's a shield ad, you have to dedicate points towards this stuff. And again, you're giving up throughput. So it's like you don't want to do any of this. At least if the throughput is interesting, then you don't feel as bad. And in addition, you're taking this point pretty much almost always. Same with this one. In general, I think this is better. It allows you to like take more niche points without like straining yourself too much, which I think is really good. Like you shouldn't be straining yourself to like take points that like make you a valuable player. Yeah, at least not in the way the warrior is. Like giving up 2 points in this sucks. This is technically a through point, but it doesn't feel as bad. I guess you can drop points as Fury. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, if you're gonna have through point, make it interesting, right? And like stuff like blood surge, stuff like anger management, super sick. Everyone always likes stuff like that, you know. Yeah. This point is interesting too. Just increase rage gen. Anyways, on to the spec tree. First thing is that Shield Slam becomes Bloodthirst or Mortal Strike when you change specs. So right at level 10, I think it's level 10. Maybe it's level 15. I can't remember. I haven't leveled a warrior in a long time. Whenever you get to choose your spec, like you start off with Shield Slam. I'm pretty sure you like start as pot spec. You're just like a sword and board kind of guy, and you Shield Slam and you press Slam. That's kind of it. So when you finally choose your spec, it should just give you Bloodthirst or Mortal Strike. You should not have to put a talent into it. It's stupid that you do right now, right? Like, it's just one talent point that's being wasted for a core ability. So the starting point instead is Raging Blow. Nice. Then it goes into Rampage. Currently, Rampage is in the second tier of our tree, which makes 0 sense for leveling. I don't know why this is like this. It's like level 20, I think it's around level 30-ish, give or take a few levels, that you actually get to put the point into your main spender as Fury. And up until that point, you're just pressing Slam to spend Rage. That's so dumb. It's so stupid. So yeah, just move it up. Nice. Right below that, you have Enraged Regen. You have Improved Enrage. This is the first point that's like actually changed. So instead of taking Improved Execute, you now have War Hungry Berserker Rampage crits generate 5 rage. For those of you who played Legion, you'll know this as the Valarzar Berserkers. Back in Legion, they generated 6 rage per crit. I think this 5 rage is fine. It might even be over budgeted a bit for being like for how high in the tree it is. Like that's a lot of rage gen. Especially in like builds with high rec up time. That's like a lot of rage gen. So yeah, nice. Number 2, Improved Bloodthirst. Bloodthirst deals 15% more damage and always enrages you the first time you strike a target. This is just Improved Bloodthirst and Fresh Meat bundled into one. Nice. Fresh Meat is then replaced with War Paint, and War Paint is moved out of here, and Wreck is right below Enraged Regen. So you get Rampage, main cooldown, or main defensive, main cooldown, right in a row. Sick. I like just uh logically that makes a lot of sense to me. Like it's pretty intuitive. You could even flip flop Enraged Regen and Wreck around, but I don't know if you'd want to do that. Sudden Death got moved out of the spec tree in place of Invigorating Fury. That's fine. I don't really have much to say about that because Sudden Death went in the class tree. 3, improve Raging Blow. Raging Blow has a second charge. The only thing that's changed about this is that it no longer has a 20% chance to instantly reset its own cooldown. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It like there's some modifier later down in the tree that like also has the reset stuff built in, but yeah, meh. Oh well. Focus and Chaos is still the same. Rampage, due to being moved up in the tree to where Raging Blow is, has been replaced with Frenzied Assault and Precise Strikes. Choice node between Execute having no cooldown, but costing Rage, and having a cooldown, but generating 25 Rage. So this is just a choice node between Legion Execute and Current Execute. Like I said earlier, I think a big issue with Fury is that it has 0 depth. And a large part of that is because you only have one spender, it's Rampage. I think just adding the option, even if this ends up being like a math problem, right? Like you're just going to sim and find out which one is better. I don't really care. I just like the idea of having the choice to have more depth in my spec. Even if it's like the illusion of choice, right? Because almost certainly one of these is going to get mathed out to being better, and you're just going to pick it always and play it. But there is, I've said my piece. I like the idea of having another spender. So very good. I like it. Inner Rage. Raging Blow makes Bloodthirst do 15% more damage, and vice versa. Currently, you do not give a fuck about Bloodthirst, unless if you have something to amp it massively, like the 2 tier sets we've had. That button sucks. Pretty much in any build that isn't like Annihilator, you just do not care about it. Raging Blow is just way better. So I like the incentive. The one thing that I would say about this is that you should make it stack twice. And that can either be 15% more damage twice, like for the next 2 attacks, or it can be like 1 stack is 15, 2 stacks is 30%, and it's only for the next attack, right? And I don't care which one it is. It doesn't. I don't think it matters. But like a large part of the time, you're pressing like Raging Blows back to back because you get resets, right? And you don't want to waste procs, obviously. So I think making it stack twice, and I think you could even increase it to like 20% more damage per stack, and I think that'll be good. But the base idea of just like making one make you want to press the other more, right? I think that's a good idea. It works really well. So yeah, great point. Very, very smart, Gregoronsen. Number 6, Brutality. Rampage causes targets to bleed for AP value over 3 seconds. This is just the Antorus 2 set. It was a good 2 set. This is passive damage. You're just going to press Rampage and get a bleed. The one thing I would say is that if this is going to be a thing, it should stack, like it should ignite. Or it should stack like Ignite does. Otherwise, you're just going to munch your dot, and it's going to be bad, and it's not going to do any damage. So, yeah. If this ever came in the game, make it stack. There's no reason not to. And I should say, Bloodbath works the same way. It's like an accumulator. So, like, as you do more damage, it just gets, like, put in to a bank. It works the same way as Ignite does. 7, Furious Slash. I like this. I know a lot of people who do not like this, but they don't like it because of the version that it was in BFA. The way it worked in BFA was it was basically just a maintenance buff. It was a talent tree choice. It was like between Furious Slash and Sudden Death, and there was like one other but it never got picked because it was bad. Um, Furious Slash. Deal approximately 2 times more damage than Whirlwind. Cannot be cleaved. Generates 7 rage. This is a single target filler, like specifically made for single target. I don't like pressing Whirlwind in single target, so I like this. Excellent. Fantastic. I'm going to skip down to 24 for a second here. Frenzy is no longer target dependent. Sick. I hate target swapping and losing Frenzy. It's super cringe. Having a mouse over for every button in my rotation just to maintain Frenzy is dumb. So yeah, just make it not target swappable. You can nerf it a little bit to compensate. That's fine. But Frenzy is basically where Furious Slash went. It's like functionally the same. Yeah. Just make it not drop on target swapping. Sick. Number 8 is Massacre. It's just regular Massacre. It has no CDR, notably. It's just 35% HP and below. You can use execute rather than 20%. Nice. Unbridled Ferocity moved up from the capstone row. Rampage and Execute have a 10% chance to grant Recklessness for 3 seconds. I think that's a suitable nerf for like having moved it up to like essentially the second gate. The one thing I will say is that I think it should still be a 4-second duration. The percent chance can be lower because it's on 2 abilities that you press a lot, and notably in execute phase, you're gonna get a lot of procs, right? Because you're basically just gonna be like mashing rampage and execute and like a filler in between, right? The issue is that it procs on the global that you press, right? So when this is a 4-second duration, it's actually you're only getting 3 globals out of it, right? So if you if you make this a 3-second duration, you're only getting 2 globals, and that's like barely noticeable. So I think just keeping it at 4 seconds is better, even if it might be a little bit too strong. Maybe you just reduce the percent chance to like 8, right, instead of 10. But yeah, I actually really like this being higher up in the tree. It's like having more things that proc it. Obviously right now it can proc off of Onslaught and Rampage. Cool. Just make it like I like that it doesn't have synergy with another capstone talent, right? Like make it have more synergy with baseline abilities rather than talented ones, so that you're not like creating power level difference between builds because of what talents they prefer. This is Vicious Contempt. This is just, instead of 2 points, it's 1 point. You would have to nerf it, probably. Like, I don't know. Vicious Contempt being a 2-pointer has been pretty contentious. On one hand, I get it. On the other hand, I hate 2-pointer talents. So, I mean, maybe you don't need to nerf it. Maybe you make it 40%. I don't really care. I like that it's 1 point. That's sick. Whirlwind. This is Whirlwind. Where's 11? Improved Whirlwind. Whirlwind generates 2 rage, hit up to 10 rage, and causes your next 4 single target attacks to cleave 4 nearby enemies for 50% of the damage. This is Meat Cleaver. This is just Meat Cleaver. And what this leads me to believe, and I'm pretty sure this is the way it works, because I've had the same idea and I've shared it before. Baseline Whirlwind should let you cleave 2 attacks. There, like, it's so stupid that we have, like, I don't get it. We're like the 5 target sustain cleave class. Why do we have to spend a talent point to get this? I think it's really silly. Yeah, it should just be Meat Cleaver. That's the talent point. This should be baseline. Maybe you like make it an unlock at a certain level or some shit. I don't know. Make it a passive, but this should be baseline. This should be the talented thing, and then there's obviously a follow-on that we'll get to. Number 12, Wrath and Fury. This is just Wrath and Fury. But Raging Blow deals 30% more damage and has a 40% chance to refund a charge. So this is where the 20% reset chance went to. It basically got consolidated into this node. And Cruelty also got consolidated into this node. You'll notice nothing is mentioned about Annihilator. That's because it was nuked. It got nuked from orbit. I'm glad for it. I don't hate Annihilator. I just don't like it either. I think it's boring. I think all of those types of talents are boring. Yeah, so Wrath and Fury. 13. Frenzied Flurry. Oh, yeah. Big thing. SMF nuked. It should be passive in the spell book, just like Titan's Grip. It should not be a talent point. It's really stupid that it's a talent point. It serves no purpose. We know that they're never going to be balanced to be equal. Just make it a passive. Don't make it a talent point. It's really dumb. Frenzied Flurry is now weapon agnostic. 13. Your auto attack speed and damage increase by 10%, and they generate 20% more rage. Cool. I'm fine with that. It looks good. So, yeah. Awesome. Improve Furious Slash. Furious Slash gives your next Bloodthirst 20% additional crit chance and is guaranteed to enrage you. That's right here. I mean, it's a bit basic, but I think it's fine, right? It just makes you want to press Bloodthirst more, which is good. That's good. You know, it's 20% more crit chance. That's nothing to scoff at. On average, that's like about 20% more Bloodthirst damage. So yeah, good. And it's more enrage uptime, which we don't really care about now anyways. This is Frothing Berserker. This is what I was talking about earlier. I do not think it should be the one that we have in the class tree. This 20% rage, or 20% chance to instantly refund 20% of the rage spent. I think that's stupid. I think it's dumb. Certainly if it's in the Fury tree, I think it should just be like, you know, when you reach 95 rage, like basically the BFA one, when you reach 95 rage, your haste is increased by 5%, your damage is increased by 10%, or vice versa, you know, haste by 10, rage by 5. And just keep it like that. I think that's a fine design. It rewards you for like proper rage management to an extent. So yeah, nice. Just fucking hate the random rage. I hate it. Certainly when it's like we're overflowing anyways. 15. Ashen Juggernaut. Execute increases the crit chance and damage of execute by 5% for 15 seconds, stacking 5 times. This is functionally the same as what we have now, at least on paper. Like when you read it, like the way crit works is that 1% crit is roughly equal to 1% damage. So on paper you would think like, oh yeah, this is the same, but actually it's just better because like you're getting 25% more crit chance, and then the crits also do 25% more damage. So it's just stronger, and it also kind of like harkens back to the Juggernaut of old, where it was just like a stacking 5% damage amp for that lasted like 6 seconds or whatever in Legion. I like that it only stacks to 5. It doesn't make you feel like it. It has all of the good things about this, and it also feels like old one, and it's also just better. So yeah, cool, sick. Cold Steel Hot Blood, nice. 16 Wrecking Ball. This was a proc. This was a talent in Legion. Your damaging spells have a chance to make your next Whirlwind deal 600% damage. Yeah, it's just an AoE proc. It's cool. I think in Legion the number is 250%, and that was actually after it was nerfed. It started off at 300%, but right now, Whirlwind deals piss damage. It literally does nothing. Even in AoE, it does like no damage. So I think 600% is probably about right. Big fan of having Whirlwind actually deal damage in AoE. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. Raging Armament has been replaced by Slaughtering Strikes in the new tree over here. So this is Slaughtering Strikes right here. I'm fine with that. Currently, Slaughtering Strikes is in the center. I hate that. I think it's stupid that you have Raging Blow synergy in the center of the tree. I think most of this should like... I actually really like this layout too. This is like kind of under... I haven't really talked about this, but right now in our current tree, right, we have like some random execute points. This is like the Raging Blow side of the tree. And then the left side is like the Bloodthirst side of the tree. But there's no Bloodthirst synergy in the center of the tree, so like automatically, like at a baseline, every build is just gonna like... Basically, there's a bias towards Raging Blow builds, right? Like, Slaughtering Strikes is just it's an insane talent for Raging Blow. It is crazy. It's probably a little bit too strong. I really, really like that the center of the tree is basically execute. This is basically like single target rampagey focus stuff. I don't really know what like the theme of this part of the tree is, but yeah. And then this is like you have Raging Blow and BT synergy at number 5, and then it splits, and this is Bloodthirst, and this is Raging Blow, and this is Whirlwind. I really like that. I think having them compete on like opposite sides of the tree is really dumb because you're always just gonna like basically you're gonna pigeonhole warrior players into picking one or the other when we should just be pressing both buttons. Like leaving out a filler is just it just feels like shit. It makes the rotation really one dimensional. Um, so yeah, I'm quite happy with this little layout that he has going. Um, yeah, we're on to the sat nodes. 17. Deft experience now gives BT a 7.5 and 15% chance per point, so 7.5 per point. Did a second time instead of the CDR. Right now it gives, basically 1.5 seconds of CDR to BT. I really like this, and this point actually is the reason that I think that this should stack twice. Because if you proc the BT, right, like you hit BT and it auto procs another one, then you're basically just wasting a stack of this inner rage buff. And there's still potential for that to happen, but I think if you have two stacks instead of one, it's going to feel better than if you just had the one. Like the second BT is essentially treated as wasted, right? Like it's more damage, but like in this like concept tree, you'd be pressing BT to buff Raging Blow, and then you press Raging Blow, and it would buff BT, and it would make you feel good for pressing it, right? So if you're pressing Raging Blow twice, and then you press BT, and you get a proc, it spends both stacks of the thing, and then it also, gives you two stacks of the Raging Blow. So I think it just like cycles into itself really nicely, if it has two stacks rather than one. Swift Strikes is still the same. Swift and Cruel are still the same. Storm Swords replaced 18. Mayhem. I really like this talent node. Mayhem, 3 seconds, channel, hasted. If you don't know what hasted mean, it's just like the more haste you have, the more compressed the channel time gets. So yeah, it's just more damage over less time. Unleash a flurry of attacks into your target, dealing a lot of damage. Cannot be cleaved, enrages you, generates 50 rage over the duration. 1.5 minute CD. I think this is fucking sick. This is so cool. This is basically like this is sorry. This is Blade Storm but single target. And if I'm being honest, this is kind of what I imagined Rampage would be when it got announced for Legion BlizzCon. This just sounds sick, man. It has a cool ass name. It does a cool ass thing. The one issue that was pointed out to me by my good friend Gajeel, known warrior player, is that haste compressed things are not only more difficult to balance, but they're also just like it's less consistent. You have to adapt to more, right? So not only do you have to you basically have to account for it being compressed, right? Because you're making this ability. It's a 3-second channel. It does a shit ton of damage. But then you're like, oh wait, it's reduced by haste. So now we have to reduce the damage because you're actually going like, let's say this number is 1,000,000, right? You're doing 1,000,000 damage over 3 seconds. That's like 333,000 damage per second. Actually, let's make it 900,000 damage, right? So you're doing 300k DPS, which is a lot. That's a lot. That's like, you know what? Let's make it a smaller number. Let's make it 300,000 over 3 seconds, right? 100k DPS. But it's hasted. So now, instead of doing 300,000 damage over 3 seconds, you're doing 300,000 damage over 1.5 seconds. That's a lot higher DPS, So it introduces this interesting balancing problem. So I'm not sure if the answer is to make it hasted, because then you have to a lot of damage becomes a lot less damage, just due to balancing purposes or balancing reasons. So yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I love the idea though. Oh my god, it like fits Fury Warrior Fantasy fucking perfectly. Oh my lord. Yeah, I would. Oh, 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 it's so good. 19. Odin's Fury is now a 30-second cooldown. I don't know that this actually needs to happen. Currently, Odin's Fury is being propped up by a tier set, making it deal 50% more damage, and buffing our like class by a lot. So maybe it does need to happen. But at the same time, I'm like kind of worried this would make it broken. Maybe it's like compensating for the tier set. I'm not really sure. I guess in general, I'm fine with it. Like, make my class stronger. Yes, please. Reckless Abandon. Reckless Abandon. Recklessness now in rage generates 100 rage. I don't think it needs to do that, to be honest, and increases the critical damage by your critical damage by 100% for the duration. That's fucking crazy. 100% is a lot. Like, it's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Um, it's worth noting critical strike damage increases are only like insane if you have a lot of crit. But because we're being supplemented crit from Rec, it's kind of insane. And actually, something I've been cooking for a while now is that I think Rec as a CD is kind of stupid. You're generating like way too much rage, and the crit chance, it's good, but it's like I don't know, it's only 20%. So, oh, what did I do? Oh, whatever. Let's go like this instead. All right, that works. Oh, I need to move my camera now. Whatever. We'll go up here. That's fine. Yeah. So, 100% big number. The thing that I've been cooking for Rec for a while is reduce the rage generated bonus to 50% and increase the crit strike chance to 50%. So rather than it be 120, you're getting 50-50. And then, I mean, if you did that, you'd have to nerf this Reckless Abandon. 50% crit and 100% crit damage is fucking bonkers. In general, I do really like this idea. I've had a similar idea. I put in a forum post that I made for 10.1. I made in 10.1.5 with a bunch of other people. But it was basically saying make Depth of Insanity give Rec crit strike damage increase as well as the critical strike chance. But this is just as good. I like this just as much. The numbers would obviously have to be tuned because like 100% crit damage. That's a lot. Onslaught still the same. 23 Tenderize. Oh wait, no, Ravager still the same. 21. My bad. Got ahead of myself. Wide swings. Every time you hit with Mayhem, do AoE damage. So this is just an AoE damage enabler for your single target button, which I think I'm fine with. I think that seems about right. Like you pay a capstone node to make this big damage button AoE. That seems good to me. 22, Champion of Odin. Odin's Fury deals 20% more damage, heals you for 50% of the damage dealt, and grants you Champion of Valorjar for 6 seconds, making attacks reduce the cooldown of abilities by 1 second. Okay, so this is just 20% damage buff. That's nice. Heals you for 50% of the damage dealt. Is the like the Hellia, the talent node from Legion. It was like part of the Concordance like extra tree thing. And Champion of the Valorjar was one of our like talent nodes right before a Golden Dragon node or something that did the exact same thing. You would have to make this be on cast. It says cast. Never mind. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yep, cool. Very cool. I like the idea of having Champion the Valorjar again. It kind of like fucks with CDR a little bit, but I think I'm mostly okay with that, especially because it's like you're not always going to be taking this, but I could see problems where it's like you want to take Odin's Fury, but you can't take the Capstone node because it would make your CDs weird for a given fight. But yeah, it's something interesting to think about, certainly, and like it just in a like a patchwork encounter, this is never bad. This is always good. You just get CDs faster. And then Tenderize. Enrage lasts a second longer rather than 2. And Onslaught enrages you and increases the damage enemies take from you by 10% for 4 seconds. This is just combining Siegebreaker and Onslaught. I think like the enrage lasting 1 second longer and enraging you, this is basically just quality of life. I actually don't even think it needs to make enrage last longer. Or maybe it just doesn't need to enrage you. Maybe I don't know, whatever. But I think for being a capstone, you could make this duration longer or make the damage amp higher. one of the two, probably not both. Um, yeah. Like both of these numbers seem low on their own, or both of these numbers seem low together, but if you increased one or the other, it would make sense and be good. And I'd be cool with that. But right now, I think this is just like a little bit weak. And obviously, it also had the removal of granting slaughtering strike stacks, which I'm fine with. That was like the main reason you took tenderize. It was like the best part about it. Was the three slaughtering strike stacks. That was like really, really, really good. And then Hurricane, no longer a choice node. Notably, currently it's Storm of Steel. Storm of Steel sucks. This talent is like horrid. I don't know what they were thinking, to be honest. Like I know what they were thinking. It's just like, oh, it's so bad. The only way this could be good if it just didn't reduce damage. So rather than having like what it should read is just Ravager's cooldown is 3 minutes and it does double damage. That should be what this talent is. There's like no reason to have it be 2 charges, 30% damage reduction, generate 20 rage. Like they don't cooldown in tandem, so it doesn't matter. You're not gaining anything. It's just like more rage, but your Ravager does 30% less damage. It's really stupid. It's a bad talent. Poorly thought out. Yeah. In general, I really, really like this tree. My main issue with Warrior, with both specs, in fact, is that there's just been a severe lack of innovation. We're basically in the same state we were in BFA beta. It hasn't changed since then. Not fundamentally. Not even like there's been nothing new added. Shadowlands gave us some conduits. All of those conduits made their way into our tree somehow. Vicious Contempt was a conduit. Raging Armaments was a tier set. Ashen Juggernaut was a conduit. Hack and Slash was a conduit. This is a BFA Azurite trait. This has been a talent since Legion. Sudden Death has been Warrior forever. This is just Juggernaut. I mean, it's just they took some stuff that like, yeah. I personally regard Shadowlands Warrior as being like the worst designed warrior has ever been, in modern WoW. The only thing they innovated with Warrior this expansion, I'm pretty sure, is Storm of Swords and Annihilator. Like literally everything else is recycled. I guess Blood Craze too. But no, I think Blood Craze is old too. And the Odin's Fury talents are also brand new. Depths of Insanity, also a choice node. Obviously, Anger Management is coming back. This is like a near and dear for every warrior player, so I'm fine with that. This is a BFA Azurite trait. Hurricane isn't even original. Hurricane was the Storm's Eye legendary for arms or whatever it's called. It's the ramping Ravager and Bladestorm damage. So yeah, my main issue with this tree is just severe lack of innovation. There's almost nothing new. So yeah, this was a breath of fresh air. I really liked it. I really wanted to share my opinion on it. So I'll probably be making an Arms Warrior video too. He did another tree for the Arms Warrior that I also think is really, really nice. It has some really cool changes. There is one for Tom that I tested Might that I really, really, really liked. But yeah, again, if you have any questions and you want any clarification, please feel free to comment them. I'd be happy to answer anything. I probably rambled a little bit this video. That'll probably always be the case. But yeah, if you watched, thanks for watching. Thumbs up. Bye-bye.